Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. It's been quite a fast-moving day or two since the arbitrator ruled in Deontay Wilder's favour that he should have the third fight with Tyson Fury, and it had to be held by September 15th. So in terms of the what next, obviously this is the question we've been asking. Is Undisputed completely gone? Is there a step aside? Well, let's get into that, because Malik Scott, who is a trainer for Deontay Wilder, who's going to have an expanded role going forward with the former WBC champion, he has said Wilder has no interest in taking step aside, saying Wilder declined and had no interest in step aside money. You're dealing with a whole different type mother over here. He want the blood, not that step aside money. Retribution is upon us. And probably Top Rank, Tyson Fury's co-promoter, realizes that Deontay Wilder is going to sort of dig his heels in here. And actually, they've gone ahead and booked a stadium in Las Vegas, which is the Allegiant Stadium, which holds 65,000 people. And I guess some people will make the claim and the argument, was this always the plan? And certainly the timing of Tyson Fury's former comments just a day before the arbitration decision does suggest maybe he had forewarning that things were going to land against him and he wanted to get out in front of it. But, you know, that whole sort of situation, if you followed this channel for any length of time, I've been a little bit sort of dubious about Undisputed happening in 2021 for a few reasons. One, the arbitration. Two, the Oleksandr Uysk mandatory. And those who follow my Patreon, who are patrons, know that I've spoken about those topics at length. But the other thing is it's the pandemic. You probably can't make as much money. So I've kind of, you know, in the past day or so, weighed up the whole, do I get bitter and twisted or do I move on? So I'm going with bitter and twisted. But no, I jest. But in terms of that, well, I'm a little bit bitter and twisted because, you know, we've been waiting a generation. But if the third fight has to be held, it has to be held. You know, it is boxing. We can't have nice things. It's just going to be what it is at this point. So get it over the way. Whatever happens, happens. And if Wilder wins, well, then that's going to be, I guess, quite the upset given this, the second fight. But if Fury wins, well, then he's free and clear to do what he wants. This whole arbitration and mediation was hanging over Tyson Fury, Top Rank, everyone involved with the Fury camp for the past year or so. But, you know, the other side of the coin is, well, what happens with Anthony Joshua? And we'll come to that. But interestingly, though, that September 15th date, so Mark Kriegel had reported, you can see here on screen, that the arbitrator was open for an extension for that fight to happen after September 15th. But obviously, Top Rank looking at July, and we're in May now, so that's not too far away if they are going to have this thing. I mean, July seems a little close. I mean, given, you know, training camps aren't underway, a lot of the details aren't sort of squared away. Will that date slip? I guess that's the thing. But you could make an argument as well that for ESPN, is this for them a fight that will do better sort of business in terms of the pay-per-views that they can sort of clip the ticket on in terms of the US market? I don't know. It's a question. But Deontay Wilder seemingly not looking to take a step aside. And Frank Warren, he had actually spoken about that, saying, well, if we can try to look to work a deal out, maybe we can sort of get something done. But he had actually said here, I hope Deontay will accept less than $20 million. Bob Arum, in other comments, he's been basically saying, look, we don't want to pay him. We'd rather just get it out of the way. And Tyson Fury, he's posted to social media saying, this is how I'm feeling right now on the inside, fighting, smashing stuff up, and my next opponent is going to get smashed to bits. And obviously he's just sort of shadow boxing here. So make of that what you will, but he has been busy with his Instagram story, and I'm about to Michael Benson. So I've just, you can see here on screen, he's got a collage of the different posts that he's made about Deontay Wilder. What a joke Bronze Bomber has become, asked for 20 million to move over. Well, it sounds like Wilder hasn't asked for 20 million, but Frank Warren was saying, I hope he doesn't ask for 20 million. But at this stage, it seems like it might be moot because Deontay Wilder, as Malik Scott had said, is not going to take a step aside. He wants to fight for his former title and try to get it back, etc. And you can see these other posts here. He's talking about the excuses in one with some tears on Deontay Wilder's face. And also, there's Deontay right there, the reptile. And there's a reptile on the wall here. So Tyson Fury still in the United States training, etc. But moving on to that Joshua side of the coin. So Parker Valcasel, the president of the WBO, he is obviously signaling that Oleksandr Uysk is in the frame here for Anthony Joshua's next fight, saying, hoping boxing fans will enjoy at Anthony Joshua versus Usyk in the near future. So a clear signal that they're going to get behind that fight, order that fight if it has to happen, etc. And actually, you've got Oleksandr Usyk and Oleksandr Krasjuk. There's a clip here, and Usyk is talking about potential negotiations.
Hi, Eddie. I want money. More money.
And the Matchroom promoter, Eddie Hearn, who had been slogging away trying to make that Matchroom, or that undisputed fight, I should say, he's done an exclusive interview on the Matchroom channel. Here's a little sort of graphic from the DAZN. The only fight we had on our mind was Tyson Fury. We hope that the fight can still take place on August 14th. The game changed last night, and now we have to have a plan A, B in place, and probably a plan C. The one that springs to mind is the WBO mandatory Oleksandr Usyk. And elsewhere being quoted as saying, I've had a very good conversation this morning with Oleksandr Krasjuk. You know, he's a partner of ours. We've worked very well on Oleksandr Usyk. And I just sort of said to him, I was just very honest, look, Team Fury are trying to resolve the issue. If they don't, there's a very good chance we could be fighting you. So if we're all sensible, let's move forward. Let's try to look at the options and get that locked in. Again, we're in a situation where we just don't know how likely it is to get a full venue for August, in the UK. And also quoted as saying, we hope we can solve this problem, but we have to look after ourselves. We have to look after Anthony Joshua. We have to maintain the position of unified world champion. Those talks will continue. We want to be in a position by the end of this week to know we are fighting Tyson Fury or we're moving forward with another option. So it does sort of seem, at least on the face of it, undisputed, dead and buried again for now. So undisputed negotiations, Mark II, seems to be, we're going to have to square that away and look forward to another set of undisputed negotiations. Who knows when, how far down the track. This kind of, it's almost stranger than fiction, some of this stuff, and they always say boxing is the theatre of the unexpected, and obviously this whole political side of boxing, the negotiations, the other sort of back and forth. I mean, a lot of people have been comparing some of the stuff to the WWE, and sometimes it really does feel like that, but often not in a good way. Sometimes building narratives for fights, that's one thing, but this is a narrative that I think, depending on which side of the fence, people will be either angered or joyed that they're going to get the fight that they wanted or not. So we'll have to just move on here. It's boxing. We can't have what we want when we want. But let's hope that some of these guys are going to get in the ring. We're going to get some of the fights that we do want in the next year or two. And when you consider what's gone on, we've basically had Wilder out of the ring and Fury out of the ring for, 15 months or so. And Anthony Joshua out of the ring for the best part of 6 months now. These guys, different parts of their prime are sort of, just ebbing away as they're sitting on the sidelines. So it's a shame that there's been this inactivity, and there's sort of the logjam with titles and all that sort of stuff is just going to, that's going to take a couple of years probably to play out fully, because when you consider that the sanctioning bodies have been quite patient and they've wanted to get this undisputed, this piece of legacy, but even just with the WBC, I mean, you look at that sort of belt in terms of, mandatory challenger. I mean, Tyson Fury hasn't defended that belt yet. Obviously, the WBC, like the other sanctioning bodies, was waiting and watching and what's going to happen with undisputed. So, where are things going? It's probably, we're sort of getting an indication. You'll get Wilder Fury 3, Joshua and Usyk. But there's always a twist in the tail with boxing. What do you make of it all? drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.